I mean, both of us do go into it with a mindset that it's not just about the harvest or just about the catch. It is so much more about being out in creation, seeing creation afresh every time you go out.
We kind of set aside that time during deer season to, hunt and manage the deer population, and try not to be in there every day because, that's not good for, deer hunt. We wait till after deer season to do most of our predator trapping.
You see coyote that are just mowing down the deer, and they're at the top of the food chain in your area. There's nobody that's going to control them that's out there in the wild. So the more we care about the wildlife, the more we care about the deer, we have to care about their predators, or else there's not going to be any deer to care about.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Wilderness Attitude Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Waddell. I hope everybody's been doing well. For me, I am in T-minus 4 or 5 days, 5 days to train to hunt in Tucson. So I'm in full recovery mode, but full anxiety mode at the same time. Did get some early shots in this morning. It's been really windy around here, so early morning's been where it's at, and the shooting was good, so we'll take it for the day. Let's see. I have been trying to get our guests on for about a month. Some business in life has gotten in the way, and we all know that sometimes that's how things go. I lost a really close friend of mine a few weeks ago, and that postponed us getting together. But I've been watching their Instagram feed for quite some time. Maybe 6 months is probably a fair estimate. But what captured my eye was their photography first and foremost, and the subject matter within the photography was obviously up my alley. So I started following them, and I quickly realized that it was more than photography for these two individuals. It was an extreme passion, a pursuit in something that they believe in strongly, in game management and predator control. To say, just as a beginning to it, I mean, they do everything they can on this piece of property to invest in its infrastructure, and its longevity and its health. And watching their story on Instagram was very invigorating, because it's something that I catch first thing in the morning when I'm drinking a Superman, taking some pills, starting my day. And their perseverance, even when it wasn't a successful morning, and their positivity and their smiles at the end, even after walking the line, was awesome. But really what intrigued me is that they are trapping on a line. And my terminology is going to suck because I don't do this, but that really intrigued me, and it's something that I really want to learn more about. And so that's why I really wanted to get these two gentlemen on. And I also think it's something that listeners need to hear, that there's still this, you can't even call it old school. I mean, this is way before old school terminology, right? This is, I don't know. We'll let them explain it. But today, I'd really like to thank Adam Perry and Ben Wehling from DAYSIX Outdoors for jumping on Skype with us and giving us a little rundown of what they do and who they are and where they're going and what it means to them. So, gentlemen, thanks so much for being on Wilderness Attitude.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. We're excited.
I appreciate it.
I spoke with Adam a little bit earlier, just briefly, and I got a little bit of a rundown on the fact that you guys both work at Taylor University in Indiana.
Yeah.
And you guys are jumping on Skype with me for your lunch break.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, Adam, I'll start with you. What brought you into the outdoors as a young man? That was probably the beginning of the fire that you have in your soul for what you're doing today?
Yeah. So, I mean, I grew up, um, my dad was a hunter, my grandpa was a hunter. And so I was always in the outdoors with them. My dad took me hunting at an early age, sitting in the tree stand with him, kind of up above him, and he's down here, and, watching and learning in those formative years. Um, and then finally taking my first deer. Um, how old was I? I was probably 18 or so, but I had shot opportunities early on, sitting on a ground blind, being terrified that deer is going to come up. It's kind of a weird thing as a young kid to think, there's something that's going to come in here. And I mean, things go crazy. You don't look through your peep sight, and so I can still remember sitting on that ground blind up at an old family farm we used to hunt on, and it was a little butt buck spike, and they're not too bright, and they're kind of inquisitive. And I remember drawing back on that deer and seeing it go right over a back, and I was like, I don't remember looking at my peep sight. I don't know what happened.
Right.
But yeah, and then I got into high school, and then got a girlfriend, and hunting and stuff kind of went by the wayside
Right.
until after we got married, and then started getting back into it again. And then when I started here at the university, the opportunity come up to hunt on the property here. They have I don't know, about 600 acres of wilderness that's untouched, that they give employees the opportunity to hunt on. They break it up into 4 different sections, and we were able to hunt that section and manage that section. And probably 10 years ago, I kind of started getting back into hunting, and then Ben came on to our department after that, and kind of got him into deer hunting. So that's kind of my story of the outdoors.
Gotcha. And so you're a newbie in the department, and
Yes.
are you a newbie to deer hunting?
Yeah, I moved back out here. I'm originally from this town, and went to school in Kentucky, worked out on the East Coast for many years, but moved back here in 2008, and assumed leadership over the department probably 6 years ago or so. But yeah, it wasn't until I moved back out here. Adam and I became pretty quick friends. And I also have a cousin who lives in town. And through just several connections, somebody threw out the idea of another one of our buddies had grown up waterfowl hunting. And there's a pretty nice property north of here, about 30 or 40 minutes. We, got our licensure, went through all the steps, and went out waterfowl hunting. And it was, for me, it opened Pandora's box, something that had been kind of dormant. And oh man, it was off to the races. I just wanted to be outdoors all the time. And Adam's wife probably blames me for getting him hooked into waterfowl, and I definitely blame him for getting me hooked into deer hunting. And then both of us got each other hooked into trapping. And ever since, it's just been all things outdoors, and kind of, for both of us, progressed at a pretty quick pace to that level of hunter where you take responsibility for what you're doing.
Right.
This is a big deal. I need to learn about this. I need to know about my area, and need to know about how to care for the wildlife and to take this seriously, but have a heck of a lot of fun doing it, And, we've been doing it ever since. Just as much as we can get out there, and, bringing our kids along, whatever we can do to just make this a part of our lives, and something that we hold ourselves accountable to. We got to do this and do it right and do it well. And
Right.
it pays dividends in just, what you learn, and the return on just a satisfaction of being a part of this, So
Right.
it has been a lot of fun. I wish somehow I could have, like Adam, been brought in at a younger age, but just knowing that it's only been maybe 6 or 7 years at the most, it has felt like such a long time. because we've made it our business to do it right and do it well,
Right.
and do it often.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's been a lot of fun.
You know, going back to the trapping side of things that you brought up, it's, you guys have a 60-day run. Now, is that just one time a year or twice a year that you do a 60-day line?
It was just once this year. We ran
Okay.
from, I'm trying to think. It was right after ATA.
Yeah, it was right about mid-January.
Mid-January.
Yeah,
So
second week of January to second week of March when it goes out, March 15th.
Right.
March 15th coyote goes out. So, I mean, the season's longer than 60 days. But, we kind of set aside that time during deer season to, hunt and manage the deer population. And then after, try not to be in there every day because, that's not good for, deer
Right.
hunting. So we wait till after deer season to do most of our predator trapping. I mean, if there's a coyote that comes through, we have a, standing policy that
It's
we
down.
take it out. But
Yeah. Right.
as far as trapping goes, we do that, after our deer season. So we just happened to run it for 60 days this year.
Gotcha.
So,
Now let's rewind just a little bit. What's cool is you were talking about the university owns this property.
yeah.
And so the university has split it up into 4 sections, and the two of you and your father, Adam, right,
Yep.
is how I understand it.
Yep.
You guys kind of manage that piece,
Yeah.
and so within that, I've noticed through your Instagram story that one, you run a trap line through it for predator control, right?
Yep.
2, you guys are doing lots of clearing for your tree stands and things like that, and do deer management on it as well.
Yep.
And 3rd, you guys are planting seed, you're planting trees, you're cleaning the property up. That takes a lot of dedication and a lot of time. How do you guys find that time when you're working full-time jobs at the university doing that, plus your families, and yet you guys find the time to stay persistent and have quality time on that property?
Yeah, we again, it is only maybe a mile or so as the crow flies, and so we can duck out at lunch and spend a good 45 to 50 minutes easily engaged in something. Now, of course, we don't want to go out to the property and be sawing down trees and come back a sweaty mess, which has happened on occasion. Not afraid to admit that. But
Right.
for us to be able to zip out there and do something, to run through a plot and drop some seed because we know rain's coming later this afternoon. Like we have the the luxury of doing that.
That's cool.
So we keep a very a thorough list of the things we need to do, and we even label them as we can accomplish this at a lunch break, or we label it as we need some Saturday time, and then we plan that with our family calendars and align that, take the kids out, let them be a part of it, and we just hammer it out as much as we can. We usually come back pretty whooped, but we get a lot done in a bigger swath of time. So it's just kind of planning, making sure that we know what needs to be accomplished, how much time it's going to take, and we just keep chipping away at it a little bit at a time. Just get out there and do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And something I was telling Adam earlier is that, even when you guys have ran the line or you put in these sweaty days and you do all this work, and sometimes, the fruits aren't immediate. And sometimes you don't see an animal on the line for days at a time, no sign, no nothing. And I guess when it comes to predator control, in some instances, that's a good thing, but we all know that they're still there, right? To some level. But what I liked about watching your story and following you guys on Instagram is that even when you have days that aren't great or aren't perfect or the weather's awful or whatever, you guys were always happy to be outside. You were always happy to be on that property, regardless of the outcome or the accomplishment, what level of accomplishment, whether it was you got the whole plot seeded or not, or you got, because it, in that, so tell me what continues to feed that energy and that positivity even when things aren't perfect and things are trialsome.
Yeah, we've kind of label ourselves eternal optimists. I mean, every time we go out, we're like, this is going to be the day. Whether we're deer hunting, we're walking the trap line, we're just always staying positive, and knowing that we're getting to be outdoors every day, during that trapping season especially. But and we learn something every day too.
Yeah. So Ben, how do you uphold that positivity? I mean, maybe you guys can call yourselves eternal optimists, but but it takes work to keep your brain
Yeah.
Yeah.
running right, to be positive. What do you do?
Yeah. I mean, both of us do go into it with a mindset that um, it's not just about the harvest or just about the catch. It is so much more about being out in creation, seeing creation afresh every time you go out. Because, like Adam said, you see something new if you're looking for it. If you're not going to see it. You're not going to appreciate it any way differently than you did the day before or the day before that. I think it also does help that both of us are very creative minded. I mean, I would
Right.
argue that everybody is creative. They just might not, attribute certain things to their creativity or the way they were made. But we recognize we're creative, and we love and celebrate that. And so to see something, and that's something that came up on the trap line. You bank on having something in the trap, and like you pointed out, 3 weeks in, 4 weeks in, 5 weeks in, traps are empty. Well, you got to
Right.
find a way to take a creative photo.
Right.
Adam's got to find a way to get a new angle on me setting a snare. Well, that sounds like pretty boring content because it doesn't have fur on it, and it's not, and I've got to figure out a way to take a photo of Adam setting a trap that I haven't done before. And
Right.
and to do that, and then kind of look back at the back of the camera and like, oh, that's awesome. I haven't seen that angle. That was something cool. That it's not related to an animal in a trap, but it is something that it is exciting, and it's something that you get to discover. I haven't seen it from this angle, and I think to your point too, the viewership appreciates that, and they recognize that extra work. So it pushed us. It pushed us a lot.
Yeah.
I think it pushed us beyond where we thought we were going to be pushed. We did not know going into the season that it was going to be so dry for so long, but
Right.
it ended up producing a lot of good that we also didn't see coming. So it was exciting.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
we didn't go
even
into it either, knowing that we were going to create these stories for 60 days. We wanted to share, the story along the trap line through our photos. But as far as Instagram stories goes, we started, and then as it went along, kind of introduced that day by some creative photo. The first day we did was day 6. But then telling those stories through our video and then adding photos from that day was just something that kind of evolved and happened. And, we saw a lot of engagement there, and people, like yourself, were waiting for those stories to come out. And that's not something we had anticipated.
So it's interesting to me that, you know, for me, like I had a New Mexico deer hunt last year. Well, it was in January this year, but supposed to be a great area, great private place, this and that. When we get good snows up here in the Rockies, it shoves them big mule deer down in this area. This is where they winter. When we were talking with the property owner, he's like sending us pictures from last year's deer and this and that. And I mean, we're talking 200s to 240s, right? Just big monster muleys. Wow. And we were just jazzed, man. The four of us were like, oh, we're going. This is going to be great. And it didn't snow up here where I live at all. I mean, we're so dry down here. We're in bad shape in Southwest Colorado. So the deer never made it down there. Well, they were all here at my house. They weren't in New Mexico where my tag was. In most typical years, right, your trap line, the moisture, the cold, the changes, the variances make your trap line better, I would assume, right?
Yeah.
And the same went for me this year. You can never plan that. You can't plan whether it's all going to work out right or not.
No.
And going out there and hunting deer, we had so much fun that week hunting deer down there. We put stocks on every buck from a spike up just to work on our own stalking skills, just to
Yeah.
try to do some things like that. Full well knowing we weren't going to shoot this deer, but just trying to do better for ourselves. And it was positive. It was fun. We had a good time. And then the night before we left, I actually took a shot at a pretty unique buck. He wasn't real big. He was in the 170s, but he was broken. And I thought he was pretty cool, but I misjudged my yardage and just skinned the top of his back. But
Yeah.
but to round out my comment, my story back to you guys is that, you can never plan that ahead, right? So you got to go out every day, like you said, and be like, today's the day.
Yep.
Today we're going to have 6 coyotes and 4 raccoons, and we're going to clean house today, right?
Yeah.
But it's interesting to me, the whole trap line thing. What got you both into that? That's not something, Adam, that your father did, and obviously
No.
Ben, getting into the hunting industry
Right.
6-7 years ago, you didn't know about it.
Right.
So tell us what gave you the idea, and then where did you resource the information to even start?
Yeah. So, I can speak to that. So it was probably 3 years ago. There's a man on YouTube. His name's Dave Canterbury. He does a whole bunch of like survival stuff, bushcraft, and I was into that stuff at the time. And he had some videos on setting some footholds for coyotes, and I'm like, that sounds super fun. And we've been resourcing Grant Woods and his team over at Growing Deer, and seeing the importance of that, and taking those nest predators and the coyotes that prey on the fawns, and the importance of that. So I think that it was the first year I did it by myself. So I had probably 3 or 4 footholds that year, and we harvested 2 that year. So Ben just walked the line with me, and it was, like I said, as far as I could say, a success the first year getting 2 coyotes, because from what I've watched and read, the coyotes are super hard to catch. Their nose is amazing. They're pretty skittish critters. So everything I've learned was from YouTube. There's a lot of misconceptions too still around trapping, and you think there's people who hate hunting. There's definitely people who hate trapping.
Yeah, I think it's its own group of people that definitely, they just think it's so barbaric, right? They think it's just so inhumane.
Yeah. And the way they make traps, especially the footholds now, they don't have big spikes on the jaws. They're made to just hold that animal there, with the right amount of pressure, with the gaps in between the jaws to allow blood flow to their foot so it doesn't fall asleep, to prevent shootouts and that type of thing. So it's definitely as ethical as it can be in this day and age.
Yeah, because it doesn't break their foot, doesn't break their bones. It doesn't. It doesn't hurt them at all. It just, in my opinion, just pisses them off because they can't leave. Right?
They're definitely mad.
Yeah, they're not happy when you get there, but they're not, 95% of the time hurt either. So
yeah, right. And usually if they're hurt, it's because they hurt themselves trying to get out, right? Which that's a byproduct of the situation. It is what it is. But so now you've only been doing the trapping line for 2 years.
3. This was the 3rd year this year.
This is the 3rd year. Now, at this point, we should start seeing that deer management stuff really starting to come into play, right?
Yes.
By the 3rd or 4th year, you would expect to start seeing a difference in the numbers and the fawns and some of that stuff. So when you get to this point, now, you still have to continue the trap line, but at the same time, now you're evolving into more on the deer management side, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I think as another thing that it contributed to our wanting to trap more aggressively. At the end of a deer season, you kind of take a few weeks off to kind of reflect on how the season's going, and then you go walking around and check things out, look for shed. And when you're walking around and you've just come out of a season where you've worked so hard to make good ethical decisions on which deer to harvest or not harvest from your herd, and you've been tracking them and combing through thousands of photos from trail cams and stuff, and then you walk by a 3-year-old buck that's dead from coyote eating it, and then you go another 400, 500, 600 yards and you find a dead fawn, or you see, you see coyote that are just mowing down the deer, and they're at the top of the food chain in your area. Mm-hmm. There's nobody that's going to control them that's out there in the wild. So
right,
the more we care about the wildlife, the more we care about the deer, we have to care about their predators, or else there's not going to be any deer to care about. And so it just kind of came with this momentum of really recognizing how much work and effort goes into managing a herd. It's not just feeding them well, because you could be feeding the coyote well, fatten up all the deer just for the coyote to mow down.
Right.
That's not what we want to be a part of. And so just becoming more and more aware of what's going on out there, and wanting to do something to try to help those numbers, come in a little bit more into balance. So
with the other parts, the other pieces of this university land, how do you work with those other pieces to help with your piece? You know what I'm saying? So do you guys get to do any trap lining in those other pieces? Are they paying attention to that predator stuff? Are they paying attention to the deer management? Is that not even a part of what they're doing or not?
It is.
Because like for me here, within the acreage that I own, if my neighbors don't have some of the same characteristics and feelings, then really our deer management and predator control is not controlled at all, because
right.
With 80 acres here and then 250 there and then 40 and 40 and 80 and 160 over here, if we're not all communicating and keeping that same idea together, then it almost defeats itself.
Yeah.
Way,
Yeah, we do meet with at least a couple times a year with the other hunters in the other zones, and for the most part, all of them are like-minded in that they want to preserve the privilege of being out there hunting, and so they also want to be ethical in how they do things. We probably are the most aggressive at managing the property year round. We put the most time and most resource into it, but the other hunters are very they hunt with integrity as well, and they're aware that you don't just show up on October 1st opening day and throw a couple arrows and then don't do anything. Right. The whole thing started as a deer reduction program many years ago, when the deer in this area they were out of control and it was unhealthy. And now it's just a management. So let's just keep the numbers where they are. So we all agree with each other, outside of what the state would permit us to harvest, that we decide our own numbers year by year, right, based on research, based on our trail cam photos, and based on what we're all seeing out there. We are open with each other and what we share as far as our data, and that helps us make good decisions as a group. But again, as you were kind of alluding to, even outside of the 600 acres, which is a pretty good sized property, there are other hunters that some of them we know because it's local, but we don't know what they're doing or not doing, and we don't know if they have the exact same mindset we do. So we try to have as much influence as possible with our collective zones, but also know that just across the river or just across that fence line, there could be a different hunter doing something totally different. And maybe to the detriment of the herd, maybe to benefit it. So we'd like to continue that communication with them as we learn about who they are, and just see how we can coordinate our efforts a little bit better. But
Absolutely. And even sharing harvest, who, certain bucks or this or that, that's good. That's good knowledge. We do well with that around here. Really working on that kind of thing. And we kind of had to put a little bit of squash to the amount of doe taking that was happening around here. I mean, we as well have a ton of mule deer here, but at the same time though, 9 years ago when I moved in here, the quality of bucks I had around here were impressive. And now, after a few years of every cousin and every kinfolk there was on a neighboring property who came out here and basically took 16 does in a month.
Wow.
We watched our quality and numbers decline rapidly.
Yeah.
And you can't imagine how one property could have that much influence on deer management, but it was extremely impactful. So a little communication there, and them also realizing in the following couple of years that, holy cow, we can't even fill the 4 tags that we have at this point. Why is that? Well, because you set up a full-on slaughter in 1 year, and this is the results.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible how quick it can happen, isn't it?
Yeah, what's funny, well, it's not funny, but what's weird is that you can take the numbers down very quickly, but rebuilding them takes time. I mean, in 1 year, they really put a damage on what was happening around here, and now it's taken us 5 or 6 more years to come back out of that to kind of get back to where we were, but still not the same. The first opening weekend deer season I ever hunted here, we went out across in the pasture next door to my house, and opening morning was real foggy. It was dark, but cool and foggy, and we got up, and the county road that runs, 1,000 yards north of us here, when the cars would go by, they would light up the fog enough over in this pasture that we could kind of begin to see if there was anything out there in the cut oats, right? And before long, within 15 minutes, we realized with our binos up, just waiting for cars to drive by, that we had 6 180 to 200 inch deer just out right there in front of us. And of course, all we had was a doe tag.
Yeah, naturally.
But I have not seen that type of buck groupings and size and quality here since then.
Yeah.
Because that year it was crazy around here. People just had a heyday. So hopefully it'll get back around. And so with the research that you guys are doing and the things that you guys are doing within the properties and within that 600 acres and your piece, the information and data that you guys are acquiring, how is that benefiting the university, and how do they use that for continuing themselves to make decisions for this property?
Yeah, there is one of the members on faculty does hunt, and he happens to be in the environmental science area of the university. Right now, there's not as much, although we have ideas for making more of a formal connection to the academic programming and all of that. Right now, it's just for our benefit as a group to help us be more successful, and it's really is just volunteerism, and it's to the extent we want to contribute of our own effort and our own resource. So there's not a whole lot of benefit that the university is taking on itself yet. Although that property seems to kind of come up onto the table every 5 to 8 years. It's like, hey, what should we do with this property? Maybe we should mow it all down and build a convention center. And we're going, no, you don't understand how precious this is. So,
right. Maybe is there a possibility in the future that you build a class around this scenario? The university builds a study around it?
That would be super cool.
Yeah, I would love to. I mean, the amount of I've started talking to a couple of the guys, the amount of connectedness that this could have to an academic program and benefit students. I mean, we've talked to several students on campus who hunt, and they see their education as a 4-year sabbatical from hunting, because they're like, what can we do here? And I would love to get them, connected, to have a student designated into one zone, I think would be really cool, just to give them that opportunity. But to formalize more of a program where, we have an environmental science department that is strong and there's an arboretum like right out the back door of the complex. That's very rare for an academic program, even related to outdoors. But to get them tied in, maybe even we've thought about, something that would include our film department, where they would be out there with us and filming some of this on a professional level. And, could we create a YouTube TV channel or do something where then business students could also come in and help manage that and make it successful? The opportunities are there.
Yeah.
It takes some coordination and somebody, kind of being annoying. I'll be that guy who just keeps kind of tapping on that idea and say, hey, this is something that the university they're always looking for opportunities for alternative revenue. And this is, it's something where we've got a very unique property, even unique for our region. There's a lot of ag field that surrounds us, and to have something where there's a river, where there's woods that are mature and old, and there's some prairie out there. We have wild turkeys, we have deer, there's coyote, there's so much wildlife out there. To mow it all down and put another convention center or something like that would be maybe a travesty, but there's opportunity advantage.
Yeah, I see so much full circle advantage for the university to get behind, an idea like that. Surely a lot of resource, financially, communication, bodies. It would take a lot to accomplish it, but I think that in this day and age, the reward would be tremendous. You couldn't put a value on it. Taking these children that need to be disconnected and reconnected into an environment that is challenging, healthy, wholesome, and really a reality of what life consists of, is an ever-growing importance, I think, in our society and our children. So, maybe the university needs to watch this podcast and see that you're not the only crazy person that might think that way, right? So where does, DAYSIX is having, in my opinion, success in reaching people and connecting people and telling the story. And, you guys, like me and Adam talked about earlier, you guys have the wilderness attitude in every way, shape, or form in what you guys are doing. And so how do you guys continue to package that and move it forward? What's in the future for DAYSIX at this point?
Yeah,
spot.
Yeah, we're on the spot. No, we're going to continue, doing the management stuff, taking care of our, our current deer herd and that type of thing. But we definitely love telling stories, telling our story, telling other stories. So, something we've kind of started doing and want to do more of is, helping other people be successful and helping them tell their story as well. So, we've had the opportunity to work with a couple outdoor brands so far, and that's something we want to do more of, and just help them and their followers of their brand to be more successful. So
who are you guys working with at this point in time in order to develop, this content moving forward? Give us some shout outs for who you're working with.
Yeah.
So kind of the first people that connected with us, again, like you noticed, a difference in our storytelling and our photography was the guys out of Muley Freak, Eric Van Workum. So we've been working with them. And keep in mind, we've only been running our channel for a little over a year. So it's fairly young as a company and as our mission goes. Wilderness Athlete, kind of got connected with them through Muley Freak, and have enjoyed working with them, and that encouraging people to live that lifestyle, and doing some photography work for them. And then who else?
Skeleton Optics.
Skeleton Optics.
We've been working with Skeleton Optics. Great guys out there, and
Yeah.
Been putting together some media for them as well, and just to make good connections. And then we do have another partnership sort of in development, but it's not far enough along to really,
Throw it out there.
there.
That's good. That's
But
fine.
there's, honestly, and Adam kind of challenged me with this early on. Let's just stick to what we love doing,
Right.
and produce content that we are proud of.
Yeah.
And the people who appreciate that will find it, and they'll like
Absolutely.
it, and they'll come along, and they're going to be good people. And that's the other thing is, we want to work with good people. Nobody likes to work with, bad people. Everybody, so we have some great people that come along, and we learn so much from them, and hopefully they learn something from us. But in the meantime, we just get to do some fun stuff together. So it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that you guys are on a good path. I mean, just over a year ago, you have, organically grown to some good followers, numbers. I think that the future is bright for both of you and for DAYSIX. I think that the university should be proud of what you're showing people from this property. I think they should be proud of the passion and the commitment and the relentlessness that you guys put into making this a quality product that you're giving out.
Yeah.
And not only that, but also the roots of it all is that you're doing something for animals, right? It all comes down to that. No matter how we spin hunting or how we do conservation or ethics or any of this stuff, it all comes down to the animal, right?
Yeah.
And helping them manage themselves. They don't know any better. They're just doing what they do. But it can get out of control. Like you guys mentioned, you had a deer problem in the beginning. Then you guys got this deer management under control. You got a healthier population. You have a more balanced ecosystem out here on this 600 acres. And you guys are making a difference in your little piece of the world. And doing that with your passion and your ideas that are right and healthy, and embodying that and doing it day by day, it spreads. And that energy that you guys are spreading, that information and what you guys are giving out there is good stuff. So I think your guys' future is super bright. I think you got a long way to go in this industry. I don't see the end of the road here anywhere near, is what I mean by that comment.
It's great.
And I feel the same way. And so about what we're doing, and sharing your guys' messages, like you said, you're so selfless in a lot of your photography. You always find a really unique way of putting a little piece of branding in here and a little bit there, and it's very subtle, but yet, and I'm not that good at that. I'm like,
It's so hard.
It is hard.
Dude, we learn by bombing. That's how we learn. I mean, we posts that are pretty overt, and they
tank.
They tank.
Yeah.
So we had to make some changes somehow, and we try to be subtle and just kind of make people think and see the creativity instead of what we're trying to promote.
I saw one picture not that long ago that really grabbed me. I'll see if I can find it real quick, but I don't know if you actually put it up on here or if it was in the story, but it was just a really cool picture that you put up of his boot in the water. Coming up out of the water, and it was like there was droplets in the air, and it was just I don't know what it was about it, but I really liked it. I thought it was a really cool action shot, if you will, but not with anything in particular. I mean, you took a stream and brown background and a boot, and you made a really cool picture.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty neat. So What so day 6 is just going to continue to do what they do well, right? And you're going to continue to work well with others,
Yes.
Yeah.
Play well with
That's
others.
right.
play well with others, and then from there, how about you guys personally? Aside from day 6, what's Adam got going on these
Yeah.
days? What's
I mean,
what's in Adam's world?
yeah, I mean, mostly spending time with my family and, helping my kids appreciate the outdoors. I have, I don't think I have as many kids as you do. You have 9, right?
Yeah, I have a lot of children, man. Yeah,
Wow.
it's out of
So
control.
I have three girls, and my oldest Faith just took her hunter education class and passed. So I'm
Nice.
going to be spending some weekends out in the woods with her this fall, and trying to help her be successful at harvesting her first deer, or taking her on a waterfowl hunt, and getting to experience that as a dad and father, and probably tear up a little bit. But yeah,
Good.
that's something I'm looking forward to over this next year.
That would be good, man. Tears are good for the soul.
Oh, absolutely.
They come in that joyful form from children, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing. There's nothing else like it.
No.
Not at all. How about you, Ben? What's up with
Yeah.
Ben?
A lot of the same. I've got 5 boys at home, and a wife who's amazing, and the queen of the house. So getting out with them is fun. I'm definitely looking forward to some weather. I mean, just yesterday we took on 3 inches of snow. That was kind of, a mental setback for us. We don't typically have snow beyond Easter, or certainly into April. But looking forward to more outdoor fishing, catfishing. We're
Yeah.
looking forward to getting back out and starting to adjust some stand locations and just get back at it and do it again. And it's going to be a new year. We're looking forward to it. I mean, we kind of can't wait. It's
Yeah.
exciting. We've got a whole lot lined up. So,
And we definitely,
back.
like Ben said, we definitely couldn't do this without our wives,
oh my word.
somewhat support. Especially,
Right.
I mean, they love the meat and everything from the harvest of the deer. But trapping's not the favorite thing that we do. I mean, there's
Right.
some smelly stuff that goes on, or furs in the freezer and that kind of stuff that they don't.
They open the freezer, you hear a scream on Sunday morning, right?
Yeah. So
they found the fur.
we've learned what not to do, and how to tiptoe around some things. But yeah, we definitely appreciate their support in our venture of day 6 and that type of thing. So
We're hoping to win them over with some fur pillows soon.
yes.
I don't know. We'll see if that
Hey,
goes
now
over
you-
well.
Now
I don't
you're
know.
talking, Ben. Now you're talking.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, it's a challenging thing with the spouses sometimes, but realistically though, I mean, I think it's rewarding. I think that I think they see the value in how we return home, and how it fulfills us, and what
Yeah.
it means to us, and
Absolutely.
and I think that they need to see that in us
Yeah.
as men. They need to see that struggle and the success, and they need to see us trying and being passionate.
Yeah.
It's hard to, because you're leading without leading. You're not leading them down the trap line. You're not leading them into the salt, shed. But you're leading them through examples in other ways, and through what you're doing that's passionate, that you believe in. So it's important.
Yeah.
That's
And
for
like you
sure.
mentioned, my wife can tell a marked difference in my attitude if I've spent the day outdoors.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
she's like, I'm like giddy and and all happy, and not that I'm not usually, but even more so after I get to spend the afternoon or the day outdoors. It's awesome.
Yeah, there's something to be said about your wilderness attitude when you come home. It's
Yeah.
a good one typically,
Yep.
right? That's for sure. Well, gentlemen, I really appreciate you being on.
Yeah.
I just want to encourage all my listeners to go check out Day 6. The content that they're providing is amazing. The message is top notch. It's what we believe in. It's how we feel. It's the connectiveness we have with the land and the wilderness, and it's where everybody has a piece of them and they belong there. whether they know it or not. Sometimes, like we talked about, leading family, leading children. You can't imagine how many people never go outside or go to the park even.
Right.
Let alone go into the wild, right?
Yep.
So I think, and I just really love the tastefulness of everything you guys do, the reality of life, and you don't try to spin it, you don't try to make it something it's not. And that realism is extremely appreciated from my point of view. And so I thank you guys for that.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. So, ladies and gentlemen, Adam Perry and Ben Wehling, you guys can check them out at DAYSIX Outdoors on Facebook and Instagram. And then also this is daysix.com.
Yep, this is daysix.com. Yep.
Yeah, we're out there.
Okay. All right, gentlemen, this is your chance to tell me what the wilderness means to you. So, Adam, jump in there, buddy. What does the wilderness mean to
I
you?
was first last time.
Okay. All right, that's fair. Okay, rock, paper, scissors. Let's go. Let's go, you two.
Right.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Go
Rock,
ahead.
paper, scissors, shoot. Oh, I got
Ben,
I'm up.
or
That means I get to pick,
yeah,
right?
Ben,
Adam
you
goes
no.
first. I'm kidding.
Oh.
I'm kidding.
Adam.
No. The wilderness. I think the wilderness means to me is perspective. It is something that allows me to slow down, to listen, and I think to reflect on where I've been, where I'm going, and the purpose behind all of that. I mean, it is. I mean, kind of even to what Adam was talking about earlier. There's very little time to slow down and clear your mind and focus on things that matter, that really, really matter. And when you're out there in a tree stand, you can look around and take in, again, what most people don't really see and experience. But there's so much downtime that our minds can engage into things that are meaningful. And
Right.
I love that. I mean, 8 to 12 hours goes by in a blink for me. I'm out in the tree stand, or out in the blind, or standing in some reeds somewhere. So I need it, and I think most people need it. They just might not know that.
Yeah.
I don't know it yet. Yeah, that's for sure. Adam,
Yeah,
how about you?
Yeah, and I would, kind of piggyback on what Ben said about just being able to slow down, because I mean, outside of hunting, I do, some hiking and other things with my brother-in-law up in, northern Michigan, and just getting out away from all the cars, all the people, and being able to, something we don't get to do here is like, backpack in for a hunt, but we're backpacking in, getting away from people, and being able to watch the sunset, sitting on the beach of Lake Superior, and seeing the galaxy, and and that type of thing, and being able to just connect with God, our Creator, that way, and just to see the things that He's made for our enjoyment, and the power that He has. And so, it's definitely a spiritual experience for me as well. It's, as Ben mentioned, it's good for the soul to get out and clear your head, and I wish more people would take advantage of it. I can't imagine living in a city, living in New York, Chicago, and not being able to get out and connect that way. And I think that would do those people a lot of good, probably, to be able to get out, spend some time, by themselves, or with a best friend. So
there's a great deal of humility that comes with being outdoors, that all of this is going on whether I know about it or not. And that is something that I don't think there's been a generation since the beginning of time that can't benefit from being humbled to know that it's not all about you. It is not about you. There's so much of this that's been ordained, and it's happening, and it is an awesome thing, and it glorifies God. If you aren't aware of it, it's still going on. You're not the only thing here. So it's it just sets you right to get out and appreciate that.
Couldn't agree more. Okay,
Awesome.
one last question.
Oh man.
What's the give me your best advice, hack, saying, belief, just something that resonates in you that you want to share with listeners today?
Let's see. Best saying.
Or hack, your best advice, or on the trap line, or your best advice for dealing with a kid at home, or a student at school, or what's the saying for Monday, or I mean, it could be anything. Just
my
off the top
God.
of your head.
All right, I'll throw a hack out there. We have come to love the bino harness.
Yeah.
So maybe out west, everybody's already privy to the benefits of a bino harness. For the Midwest, whitetail hunters don't know about the bino harness. And to be able to get up in your tree stand with just that, or if you're going around shed hunting, to use binoculars to comb through some woods, just to have that gear right here and accessible to you has been what Adam and I refer to as a total game changer. I mean,
Yeah.
it is
Okay.
it is
Good
a
one.
game changer to get up there with bino harness or with binoculars, rangefinder, wind checker, and a call or something else. Like, bam, right here. This is what you need. You can leave your pack on the
Right.
ground, minimal movement, game changer. And so both of us carry the Muley Freak Bino harness, which is just awesome.
Yeah.
So give another plug to them. They just make a great product, but that has been top notch for us. Top notch.
Like it.
Yeah.
Good job. Okay. Adam.
So something, that we kind of stumbled upon as far as trapping goes is, there's something to be said for commercial produced baits and lures, but we.
Oh, wait, are you sure you want to do this? Are you
I don't
sure?
know.
I'm kidding. Go ahead.
But when we process our deer, you got all the bad pieces and the silver skin and all that stuff. And so we grind all that up, and we have, I don't know, probably 6 pounds of scrap meat that we grind up that we're able to use for bait for the coyotes. The coyotes are used to eating deer. So, they love the smell of it. They love the taste of it. So that's what we use for bait. So
Makes total sense. Well,
and it's a little ironic.
Well, but it goes back to it's the circle of life.
Yeah.
Dog eat dog, man.
Right.
It's a dog eat dog world, right?
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks, you guys. Thanks so much for being on the show, and thank you for your support of Wilderness Attitude. Thanks for listening.
Absolutely.
And we sure hope the best for DAYSIX Outdoors. And I had a little thought in the back of my head that, I got to figure out how to mark on my calendar or remember somehow when I'm in day 6 of doing something and making sure that I am cross-promoting that idea.
There you go. Yeah, we have the hashtag
Yeah.
This is day 6. So,
knowing where God is in your lives and how that's empowered you to continue that day 6 of the creation and keep working that pattern, and keep giving back to the Creator through the lands that He gave you and the animals He gave you and the life He gave you, the family He's given you, and continuing to push that message out for other men to see and hear is extremely empowering. It's awesome.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, you guys.
Yeah.
Really appreciate that.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to Wilderness Attitude Podcast. I really enjoyed sitting it down with DAYSIX Outdoors. A couple of great guys, and I know that DAYSIX and myself would really like to thank Wilderness Athlete for sponsoring the podcast and keeping our minds right and our bodies fueled. What a great product that they have, and I can't say enough about them and their people there. Great customer service and a joy to work with. So everybody, appreciate it. Please send us some emails, wildernessattitude.com. Check us out. Keep looking at the story and keeping tabs on what my daily life is doing if you want. Otherwise, you can go to wildernessattitude.com and go check out our YouTube channel. We're throwing these podcasts up and some other cool videos up there that you might really enjoy. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week.